Howdy everyone, so it's Sarah from Palace Tarot. So we are doing our astrology review. So I've been told that it's been more helpful to go sign by sign before we start really getting into the planets here. So that way we have a better understanding of our sun signs before we start adding that energy in. The other thing to bear in mind too, this is just general sun sign astrology. So for example, I'm getting ready to talk about Scorpio and say, let's pretend you're a Sagittarius and this Scorpio sign resonates more with you, the description that I'm talking about. Write that down because there's a very good chance that when you do your birth chart, that sign is going to feature very prominently there. And that's true of any of the signs that I'm describing. If you hear something, you're like, oh, that sounds like me. Write it down and see where it might be in your chart. I think you'll be surprised by that. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about Scorpio. Scorpio is the fixed water sign, okay? So it's yin, it's receptive, it's feminine, and its ruler is Pluto, okay? And its symbol is the scorpion, okay? Which is funny because I was just thinking to myself, I was like, what two signs would you not want to pick a fight with? In my opinion, in terms of sun signs or people that have really prominent placements in these two particular signs, that would be Scorpio, the sign, and Aries. Just don't do it because Scorpio will just straight up go scorched earth on you. It's just not something you want to do. That's kind of part of their shadow side. But the other side of that is Scorpio's not afraid to affect real change. And when I say real change, I mean things that can be uncomfortable. They're not afraid to embrace that kind of energy. And that's one of the things that I really admire about Scorpios, actually. They can be really intense personalities. And they can be the kind of person that seems a little bit mysterious and kind of keeps to themselves. But there is an emotional depth to Scorpio that you should never, ever underestimate. And a lot of people don't see, in terms of water signs, Scorpio is very nurturing. I don't think that's really the case. I'm gonna disagree, even though they are the fixed water sign, and like I said, you don't want to pick a fight with one. I feel like they are very nurturing, especially when it comes to new growth in their own lives and that of others in terms of encouraging people. They're definitely someone that not only is loyal, but very encouraging. Okay, so if they are functioning at a level that is not optimal for them and they have prominent Scorpio placements or they're a Scorpio, they're definitely going to be a glass half empty kind of person and can be prone to depression too. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about some of the cards associated with Scorpio, because that's gonna give us a little bit more insight as well. So one of my favorite cards and most misunderstood cards on the deck that's most closely associated with Scorpio is the Death card. Okay, so the Death card just represents an organic process in our lives of things that we need to let go of so that we can have better things come into our lives. So like I said, with Scorpio, again, you're like, oh man, I don't really want to mess with someone that's associated with the Death card. That's true. It's kind of an intense energy that you don't want to mess with. But that being said, the reason Scorpios do what they do, even though it sometimes can push themselves and others outside of their comfort zone, is because they know better. Which you can find a lot of times with signs that are fixed. They know better. And Scorpio really, like I said, if they are manifesting that half empty aspect, it's because that they have their eye really far in the future and what kind of changes they can make. So they can be really impatient actually to make those kinds of changes, and they can lose patience with people when they see them, not making changes that they feel that they should be making. So this sign, again, can have a little bit of frustration because of that. So you can see that come out a bit too. They'll get frustrated with people, especially if you're the kind of person that comes up to them and says the same thing over and over again. They'll just be like, why don't you just go ahead and, break up with so-and-so or quit your job or, let it go. So that you can have something better come into your life. So Scorpio is very much not afraid of that, okay? And they can actually have this weird kind of morbid optimism at times, and they do have a dark sense of humor. I can definitely say that. And and they're kind of a sexy sign. Like their house that they rule, it's like sex, death, and regeneration. So, you know, of course, we've got the death card here. And there's no life without death. So hence the sex and regeneration part as well. So that brings me to the next card. This is actually Pluto's trump, okay, in tarot. And Pluto, that's Scorpio's ruling planet, is a judgment card, okay? Because Scorpio, they really are, as a fixed sign, they really are good kind of managerial type people. They have a tendency to be very organized. And so with judgment here, they really are focused, very goal focused people, okay? So when they know that there's a new opportunity coming in, they can be real go-getters when it comes to that, which kind of surprises people about a lot of water signs or just yin signs in general. They don't think of them as real go-getters. But Scorpio certainly can be, okay? And they can be kind of ruthless about it at times. Yeah. So, like I said, it is kind of an intense sign, so you can tell that from these two different cards here. But Scorpio, like I said, they're not going to hesitate to make those changes when they know something's better is coming. And they can help others make those decisions too. They're not afraid to tell you what they think. That's another thing that I'll put in there about Scorpios as well. Also very creative people. If I haven't said this yet, don't underestimate their emotional depth and their ability to provide guidance too, okay? So with that being said, we're going to be on to the next sign.